There you go. That's much better. Now, when anyone joins, can you please tell me if you can hear me? So this live stream is a random one, to be honest. I was working on one of my videos via Canva, and I realized there's a problem there. So I'm in the mood to do some sort of video. So I thought I'll do this video. This video is about hi. So someone is watching me. Are you able to comment if you can hear me? Can you hear me okay? Don't know why the camera is shaking. Okay, the person has disappeared. I need to wait. I need to wait for someone to come on to tell me if they can hear me. So this video is about tips and lessons that I learned from my 3 years ago now, motorcycle trip from London to Norway. Over 5,000 miles I did, and I learned quite a few things which I like to share with fellow bikers, and I've written them down. So yeah, a random video, but hopefully it will inspire you to travel and see the world more on your bike. Okay, let's wait for someone to jump on the live stream to confirm that they can hear me. YouTube shows that you can hear me. I hope. Yeah, it does show something like, yeah, it does show that I can hear me. Hello, hello, hello. Please confirm if they can hear me. Let's wait a few minutes. Oh, I see one person is here. Can you please confirm if you can hear me? Can you hear what I'm saying? Okay, he's gone. How can I do this live stream if no one can hear me? I don't know if they can. Mic check. If I click edit, customization, mic check. Okay. I think people can hear me. I think. So. What should I do? Should I start the video? Don't know what to do. I started the live and I don't know what to do because it's getting quite late. Let's wait for anyone to join a bit more. I think I will go ahead and I'll just do the video. It's getting late where I'm at in London, but I'm just in the mood to speak, to talk. All right, let's get it going. Whoever joins. If anyone joins, I'm hoping to do much more of these live chats. As my channel grows, live chats, live streams. What I'm talking about. So, as I mentioned before, and if you're a subscriber to my channel, you have seen that I rode more than 5,000 miles 2 years ago. Well, nearly 3 years ago now, from London to northern Norway, and I rode on a 2011. Why is it shaking? Sorry, it's annoying me. Stop shaking. Okay, that's better, I think. So I'm just gonna put my hands down so it stop shaking. So I rode 5,000 miles from London to northern Norway, and prior to that, my longest trip on a bike was to Cotswolds and back, which was maybe 300 miles. So yeah, this was a challenge to say the least, and it happened randomly because let me get a drink. It happened randomly because lockdown was in place, the world was closed, and my girlfriend at the time was living in Norway, and I started to work remotely. So in March, my at the time my manager, my boss, told everyone, that's it, we're going home, we're working remotely. I think it was March 12th or March 13th, and at the time, the company didn't have proper rules in place in terms of how long you can work from abroad, from a foreign country. And my girlfriend was like, well, she wanted me to come and visit her as I did. She was like, you know, what if you're working remotely? Why don't you work remotely from, with me in Norway? And she lived in Norway, in the mountains, from a place called Finnsnes. And Finnsnes is about 3 hours drive from the biggest city in Norway, Tromsø. So what happened? I was like, okay, yeah. But I thought to myself, prior to that, I've already been to Norway. I lived with her in Norway for a bit. And I thought to myself, okay, I agree, that I really miss her, I want to see her. But how do I make the journey more interesting? how do I how do I have more fun in terms of getting there? And I knew that to get there, it's 2 planes. It's to fly from London to Oslo, and then from Oslo to Bardufoss, I believe, if I remember correctly. And from there, you need to drive for a good hour to the place my girlfriend was living in. So I decided, why not just ride my bike to her? And that thought came into my head, and then like there was a reality check. I was like, is it possible for me, because I've never ever done something like this. um so I think it was a good 2 weeks prior to me leaving for the tour. So I thought to myself again, should I do this? Should I not do this? And then my girlfriend was like, "You already told me you're gonna do it, so you must do it. You must. Uh, basically, I gave her my word, so I must, make it come true." And my dad as well, he was like, "Son, you don't have children at the time. You're free. Let's say, do it. It's gonna be a trip of a lifetime." So I thanked my girlfriend. I thanked my dad. I thanked my mate Joe, who also persuaded me to go. Deep inside, I really wanted to go, but I guess my mind was just thinking things and being scared. So I started planning. I started planning my trip, and as I mentioned, the world was closed because of COVID. So I was doing so many things. So I was calling embassies. I was calling police stations. I was Googling, because what I had to find out, every country had its own rules. So what I had to find out, if I'm gonna ride through this country, will the next country accept me, and vice versa. So, after lots of calling or lots of research, I finally came up with my route. And then the next day, the rules changed, so I had to like research again. So after back and forth, on the research, the embassies, police stations, and blah blah blah, I decided that my route was gonna be, I'm gonna ride to Harwich in UK, take the ferry from Harwich to Hook of Holland in the Netherlands. From there, ride in one day to basically North Germany, about 750 kilometers, I remember. From there, catch a ferry to Sweden, and this is where it gets even more interesting. Sweden had regional lockdowns at the time, so certain areas were under lockdown, other areas weren't. So I had to ride more than 500 kilometers in one day through Sweden to get into Norway, because Norway wasn't accepting people that had stayed overnight in Sweden. So the whole goal was to get to Norway and then ride southern Norway up until my girlfriend, she was staying in Senja Island, which I mentioned was about a good hour away from Finnsnes, which is about 3 hours away from the biggest city in northern Norway, Tromsø. So I created a, at the time it was really useful. Now I would do it differently. Excel files of my tour. So places that I wanted to go, places that I wanted to see, roughly how much I would need to spend, fuel, food, accommodation. I thought, I'm not gonna camp. I'm gonna use Airbnb, but I'm gonna, try and save money on Airbnb. So rent a cabin or stay in the woods somewhere. Not always not always rent out a room or stay in a hotel. So I started buying tickets. I started buying ferry tickets, and once the tickets were bought, I got a bike service. I got new tires. I got new chain. I don't know if I got new sprockets. By the time FWR did a very good job on my Fireblade in London, and yeah, I was ready to go for adventure of my lifetime. Um, I left. I remember mid-July, and I came back. I needed to work. I came back, I believe, on the 5th of September. But as I was there, I was working as well at the same time. So I'm not gonna discuss more of the trip. I'm gonna go into the tips and tricks, let's say, that I learned throughout this experience. This was an experience of my lifetime so far. I've got unfinished business in Norway. I need to check out so many more places. I didn't get to go to Nordkap, the most northern point in Europe, and also wanted to go to the Russian border, a town called Kirkenes, where they speak Russian and Norwegian. So there's unfinished business in Norway, and I'd like to come back there with a more comfortable bike. So also, a lot of people have criticized me for riding with a Fireblade to Norway, but at the time, that was the only bike I had, so I made use of what I had, and I prepped on a budget as well. I tried to spend as less as possible. So that's that. That's why I rode with a Fireblade that far. Uh, yeah, I don't know if I would do it again, honestly. But I can discuss this maybe in a separate video later down the line. Okay, so number one, the tip number one that I wrote down. I wrote down plan as much in advance as possible. Don't leave things until too late. It's best to plan months in advance. So that's what I wrote. Is there a way? Sorry, what's that? Oh, never mind. So yeah, as I mentioned, I planned the route 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks prior to leaving. So if you plan like months in advance, you're gonna be much more prepped than I was, and there'll be less stress, less hassle. You'll probably spend less money in places for things that you could save money. Um, so yeah, definitely plan months in advance, maybe even a year in advance, and have like a plan A, plan B, plan C. That really helped me, and I think that definitely would help you, because you never know what can happen in life. There's there's no way to know what will happen tomorrow, and with so many silly things going on in the world today, you know you never know what can happen tomorrow. So I think that's even more of a reason to travel, to tour, and see the world. Even if it's in your home country, to travel for a few days. Because I, sorry, I need another drink. Only after I came back from my tour. Well, I would say no. I would say maybe first few days riding in Norway, I realized that biking and motorcycling is all about touring. I've never done a track day. I'm not the guy that rides fast. I think there's a time and place for everything. But I think touring is what bikes are made for, honestly, because it's such a life experience, and you touch so many people as well. You know, if you enjoy talking with people like I do, talking with strangers. Okay, and tip number two. If you need to buy stuff for the bike, like luggage and any sort of accessories, try to search for used items instead. So, on places like eBay, Facebook, even Amazon, if you're in the US, maybe Craigslist, you can get a lot of used stuff that you could use for a motorcycle trip. This could be anything, like I said, from luggage to accessories to tank bags to phone holders to GPSs, anything that could save you money, basically. Sorry. Number three, uh, any safety related items such as cables. So I use cables to tie bags on my bike. Buy it new, because it's not worth the risk, because you don't know how much and how long the previous owner has used this item for. So you don't really know what lifetime span it has left. So always buy stuff like that new, and you can ask around your mates, or your mates that ride, or mates that don't ride, if they have any spare cables. That will save you money as well, which is what I did. Number four, so I said avoid taking. I can see the camera, it keeps changing, so let me put it here. I still keeps changing. Okay, let me do it like this. So number four, avoid taking too many things and bigger backpacks. Personally, I'd say don't take any backpacks, and if you do, it's still shaking. And if you do, take like a backpack that's those backpacks that have water, where there's a hose, you put it in your mouth and you can drink water through the backpack, because that's light and that's very useful. I personally, because I was working in Norway, I I took a bag, and that bag was full. There was my laptop, there was the charger, there was a lot of other stuff, and it was just so heavy and it was so uncomfortable, because the whole way riding to Norway, I was like this, and I couldn't really stretch back fully. It was very very uncomfortable. So I I, I really wouldn't take a backpack, traveling that far and that long. I think if you're smart, you can pack in a way where you wouldn't need a backpack. Number five, take things like basic tools. Take things like basic tools, gaffer tape, tire puncture kit, USB jump start devices, anything like that. Why is the camera moving? I'm sorry, I have a new webcam, and I'm still trying to figure out. So yeah, if you have space, well, I would actually say make space for stuff like this. Basic tools, so a screwdriver. The kits that you get in the bikes, most bikes. When you take the seat off, you have a little toolbox or tool bag. Make sure you take that with you, because you never know what can happen. And stuff like gaffer tape, to stick anything together, to amend anything. One second, something came up. 1 second. Okay, I can go back. So yeah, if you take stuff like that, as well as a tire puncture kit. Now, some tire puncture kits are illegal. Don't ask me why. Uh, to be honest, like who would check if you're taking a tire puncture? Like no one would check, right? But the other side of the story is that if the tire puncture is made illegal, there's probably a reason behind it. So maybe it's caused to be dangerous and whatnot. But I don't know. I don't know how you'd find out that it's illegal. I guess the only way you'd find out if it will work is if something happens to you and you need to test it, right? I don't know. Yeah, the last thing that I took myself is a USB jump start thing. You charge it and you can jump start your bike. Fortunately, because I rode with a Honda's barely have any problems. I didn't need to use it. I've had to use it in the UK during the winter, not on the Fireblade, but on a different bike, and they work just fine. So you charge them up via USB, and there may be it's maybe that big with cables as well, and it doesn't weigh too much, but it's a very useful tool. In case like you forget to switch off any lights or anything like that, and your battery somehow dies, you can jumpstart it yourself. Another thing that I would take is a med kit, small med kit. I think some insurance providers send these med kits for free, or you can buy it on eBay. And I actually did a bike it down or bike a safer. I think bike a down course, and they gave me the med kit for free. But this was after going to Norway. Another thing I would take is there's these camping lights. I didn't bring it with me. It's like a yellow thing, and you can pull it out, and it stretches out, and the light stretches out as well. So it gives you a lot of light during the night. um, Anything else? No, that's it. That's my number 5 tip. Number 6. Uh, yes. So number 6 is related to phone. So a lot of people, I guess, don't realize until they've done long distance riding is if you use a phone as a GPS, there's a lot of vibration that goes into the phone, and that can mess up the speaker, that can mess up the actual phone. There might be problems switching it on, there might be problems texting, calling, so many things, to be honest. And I would advise uh, basically to get a sat nav. I'm just reading my notes. So I don't know. I wouldn't really. Yeah, I think phone is just dangerous because unless you have like 2 phones and you can take that second phone as a GPS and yeah, use a GPS throughout the trip. I personally, I took my phone. I used my phone as a GPS going to Norway, and my phone was in the tank bag, and I always had to look down like this to see where it was going. So my neck was always strained. So I wouldn't do that again. Um, so yeah, that would be my 6th tip. Also, if something happens, if you crash or you slip, whatever, your phone falls out of the stand, and screen smashes or something breaks, that's it. So your trip might be ruined. So yeah, I would say stick with sat navs. As I mentioned before, you can find the used sat nav. No problem there. So now tip number 7: tires. Tires probably is the number one bike related thing that I recommend when going on a tour. This really depends. You need to do your research. Where you're gonna ride, is the country or the place you're gonna ride to, does it really get a lot of rain? Is it really hot? And you have to look at how much life there is left in your tires. At the same time, you have to like think about the type of riding you do. Do you like to ride fast? Do you knee down a lot? You need to think about your type of riding. So I went with uh, Diablo SP courses. I don't remember, but I don't remember exactly, but I think uh, Yeah, I think those were the ones, Diablo SP Corsas. I may be wrong, but I remember SP Corsas. And they were sport touring wet tires. And honestly, it felt like my bike had the best ABS and the best traction control that I've ever experienced. They were such good tires. You know, it rained quite a lot when I was there in Norway, and I didn't get any problems with the bike slipping out, anything like that. You know, in Norway. So I highly recommend new tires. A good place in London is FWR. That's they sorted me out with my tires. So yeah, I highly recommend investing in tires if you're gonna do a long distance tour, depending on the situation of your current tires. But even then, like I said, if the place you're going to rains a lot, it's worth to buy wet tires. Uh, Number 8, when planning to do daily routes, try to limit yourself to 500 kilometers, which is, I believe, over 300 miles. Um, and take regular breaks, and even if you can take like a day off. So what happened with me is I miscalculated how far and how long the distances were. So a lot of the time I finished riding with truck drivers like during the night. And I learned that 500 kilometers is the max per day, because otherwise your body just gets too tired. And you could be able to do more if you're driving an adventure bike, you know, maybe some sort of cruiser. You might be able to do more, but if you're not used to long distance driving, even if you are, I would still say stick with 500 kilometers per day. Also, if you know on the day there'll be more motorway, I guess you could do more on that day. But it's really risky. Like, there were some times where I was so tired. One of my mates, biker mates, Giles. I don't know why I call him Giles sometimes. He said, if I get too tired, just pinch myself, and I done so much pinching throughout the ride, because just getting sleepy, getting tired. So yeah, that would be my advice. And best of all, you can, if you can afford to take a day or two off, that would be even better, because you'd rest. You'd rest, you'd relax, you'd walk around, you get out and about, or you just would stay in your bed all day long. It all depends on you, but you'll give your body rest, which is very, very important on these long trips. Let me get some water. Number 8. Well, sorry, not number 8, number 9. Research different. Yes. So number. Sorry, I'm getting lost. Number 9. Research what the country or the place you're going to ride is like for bikers, and compare it to your home country. So I did a lot of research about Norway, how it's like to ride there, what are the rules and whatnot. And even saying that, it turns out I didn't do enough research, because when I go to Norway, well, my main research was about filtering, uh, filtering. Then if bikes get priority, and like what it's like to ride on motorways. So those were my main points of research that I did. But going to Norway, I found out that one, speed cameras do not exist for bikers. They're not designed to to work for bikers, because they need to take a picture of the number plate and your face, and that's not possible with a helmet. So speed cameras do not apply to bikers. I don't know if it's the case now. I read something and heard something that might change in Norway. And two, if yes, if you get in trouble with the police, so this young guy on a jigsaw, he told me this. If you get in trouble with the police, if you ride fast, Most of the time, police won't try to chase you because if they catch you, the system does not have the capability to process you as a offender because you're on a bike. So, uh, for me, it was a shock. I couldn't believe that, but he said that's the case. And I saw a lot of bikers drive fast, through Norway. So I guess that makes sense. And the last thing, there's no MOT in Norway, so that's cool. Also, I found out that Norwegians are very good drivers, and online, I don't remember if I find information online regarding Norwegians driving, how they drive. Number 10. Well, number 10 is similar to what I kind of already said. Take a small med kit with you and any painkillers. This is in case something happens, in case you have a crash, in case you slip somewhere, you fall off somewhere, you break a bone, anything like that, and you have to continue riding because you can't afford and you don't want to stay in a hospital. So yeah, some painkillers and a med kit in case something happens. Number 11, buy travel insurance. So I bought travel insurance and it covered all the COVID situation, all the COVID stuff. It covered European travel. I needed to select the countries that I was gonna ride to. So it covered those countries. I don't remember the exactly details, like how much it covered for limbs and stuff like that. But I did buy travel insurance, and I'm very very happy that I did. And I didn't need to use it, fortunately. When I bought it, I didn't realize I actually bought it for a year. So if you're gonna buy it for your tour, for your adventure, double check for how long you're gonna buy it and what is the minimum amount of time you can buy it. But yeah, I highly recommend travel insurance. Maybe if you're going to like somewhere like from the UK to France and Holland, maybe there's no need because it's not that far away, right? But if you're going like Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Norway, Scandinavia, like those main biking countries, Spain, I think it's worth it because you never know what could happen, right? I don't know how travel insurance works if, for example, your bike gets stolen. Because when I was in Norway, actually when I was in Sweden, I met this guy that was gonna ride. Sorry, when I was in Germany catching the ferry to Sweden, I met this guy that was gonna ride across Sweden, and his bike was stolen in Sweden. His Honda was, well, now he's over 30 years old and he got stolen. I feel very sorry for him. So I don't know if travel insurance covers theft of vehicles. So that would be worth to check out as well. I recommend that. Number 12. This is very important. Google and do very good research on the best riding places in the country and in the places that you want to go to. There are several ways to do this. So I used Google. I used a website called I think Norway Travel or Best Riding Roads Norway. So I saw a lot of the places. From my research, I understood a lot of the places that I wanted to visit. That's one way. That's the way I did it. But there's another way. You can watch YouTube videos of people that have been to the countries that you like to go to, and you can actually, sorry, I'm lying. I did the research that I said just now, but at the same time I reached out to, I'm originally from Lithuania. I reached out to a Lithuanian bike group in Norway, and this guy got back to me and he told me the best places in his mind, in his view, to visit in Norway on a bike. So that was super super useful. So I amended my route off the back of what he said, and yeah, that was really really useful. Another thing that I wanted to say, what I used for my Wales trip, you can Google, let's say like Wales motorcycle road trip map, And certain websites, they have links to maps that you can download and upload to your GPS. And basically, these are maps that people have used to ride across that country or that region, and they've just basically uploaded onto the internet. So you can download it, upload it into your navigation system on your phone, and just follow the route. So that's another way. I think, you have to, when doing this kind of research, you have to prep, you have to take time. Basically, you have to take certain considerations into how long your trip will take. So this will include normal riding, this will include taking breaks, eating. Some of this can be done as I did at petrol stations. In Scandinavia, the petrol stations have really, really nice food, and there's a lot of space, and there's a lot of cafes, and there's a good space to chill out. Also, you have to consider the time that you'll stop to take pictures, to take videos. All of that adds up. And I would say, as a rule of thumb, if you're gonna ride, if let's say your day's ride is looking like 5 hours, probably add 3-4 hours for everything else, if not more. Of course, you can't really plan for stuff like road closures, because maps in certain countries don't show the road closures on like early. So they may be road works, but the day you're riding, and there's nothing on the map. And if you look at the road the next day, you can see on the map that there's roadworks. So there's that as well to consider. Okay, that was number 12. Number 13 builds up on number 12. So if you make a list of places that you like to visit during your trip, research how long it will take to get to that place or that destination. So my mistake was that I made a list of the places that I wanted to visit, right? So sorry for the webcam. I need to find out why it's doing that. I made a list of the places that I wanted to visit, but I didn't account for the time it will take me to actually get to the place. So an example was this, I think it was called Pulpit Rock. It's basically a massive rock that is sticking out into the air in fjords. So it's a rock that is sticking out. Basically, the fjords, the mountains are here, and the rock is sticking out, and people go on the rock and they take awesome pictures. So I counted for the time to ride there, but I didn't research how long it takes to actually get to the rock. So I rode to the tourist center. I got changed and everything. It was raining, but I thought, I already drove here. I'm not gonna give up. And then I saw people coming from the hike to the rock, and I asked them how long does it take to go one way, and I believe they said 2 or 3 hours. I was like, great, I'm not gonna have time for that. So that was out of the picture. I never got to see the rock, the place. So count for that. Do that kind of research as well. And there was a few scenarios like this, but this was, I would say, the most extreme one and the most disappointing one for me that I learned. Yeah. Number 14. Again, that builds up to planning the day to include pictures, random stops, like not to eat, but for example, for ice cream, for sweets, for a drink. So you should include time for that as well. So yeah, I think as a rule of thumb, as I said, if your day's riding is looking like 5 hours, put like 3-4 hours on top of that. So that would be your actual day riding. Also, this can be tip 15. Try to keep track of the time you spend talking with people. So a lot of the time I just chatted too long with some people, and I lost track of time, and I needed to change like the whole day's destination and the route, because I just got talking for too long, got chatting for too long with someone. I remember this happened a few times. One when I was in Trollstigen, this lovely mountain pass, and I got talking with this Norwegian biker. He was saying how Norwegian bikers, they used to doing 1,000 kilometers per day, and I was like, wow, how? There was, so I spent too much time talking with him. There was another time I was riding back to London, and I was on this mountain, and this, well, on this mountain at a, I believe it was a skiing resort. Yeah, and there was the bloody camera, stop doing that. And there was the guy that looks after the skiing resort, right? And I got chatting to him. I chatted to him for so long because I was curious what he does. He said, he doesn't have electricity there. Like, the town is very far away. It's got this generator, and he's the one that's looking after the whole place. He's the one that's shoveling the snow. He was telling me how when it snows, how it's difficult to take the people back from the skiing trips. So basically, such interesting person he was. The information he was saying was so interesting to me. Then he was asking me questions like where I'm coming from, where I'm riding. Said I'm riding back to London. He was like, "Oh my god, wow, that's really impressive." And I just got talking to him, and after talking with him, I realized I spent too much time, and I needed to change the route on the day as well. So yeah. Another tip that would be, I guess, tip 16 or 15. Sorry, let's say tip 16. When you're searching for like where you're gonna sleep overnight, especially I see the camera, especially if it's in the mountains, research how long it will take to get to that place exactly from any sort of mountain in the mountain range. What I'm trying to say is, I had a situation where I had a Airbnb plan that I would book on the day. So I planned the route to this mountain range. Right, I go right to the top to the mountain range. It got to like 2 degrees or 3 degrees, really cold. And I put the address of the Airbnb, and it showed me 3 hours. When I searched on Google, it didn't show me that. It showed me much less. But the problem I realized with Airbnb, until you book it, it doesn't show you the exact address. So if you're researching, I'm gonna go to this Airbnb, it's gonna give you an approximate address, not the full address. So guess what happened? Like, I was rushing, I was riding into the night, and in the end, I needed to stay at a completely different hotel. So that's that. Tip 17. Well, I plan to do 14 tips, but there's more to come. Tip 17. Buy stuff like nuts, protein bars, energy shakes, energy drinks, not so much because they're unhealthy for you. Buy stuff like nuts, protein bars, dried fruit, because this is a very good snack to have at hand. They have protein, and it'll fill you up for a bit, and it'll give you that little can't speak anymore, little energy boost. So I had loads of bags of nuts in my tank bag, dried fruit, and protein bars. Because when you're riding that far, that long, your body's always working, so you're always hungry. At least I was. I like my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner was really big, but I was always hungry because the amount of calories I was burning every day riding that long. I was always covered in sweat. So yeah, buy stuff like that, and I think it's better to buy actually not in your, well, depending how long your tour is, not in your home country, but maybe just before you get into the country that is your actual destination. What I'm trying to say is, if you buy like stuff like protein bars and they're gonna stay in your bag or your luggage for a long time, they'll melt, because likely you're gonna ride in the summer, right? So they'll melt because it'll be too hot. So that's what I'm trying to say. Don't buy them too early. Or you could buy like nuts, like just before you go on the trip, so you'll have them from the beginning of the trip, and protein bars, like I said, when you get to the main destination of the country, something like that. Also, I don't drink coffee, but I was drinking a lot of hot chocolate, and that gave me another sugar boost. So yeah. Tip number 17. Sorry, got itchy ear. Tip number 17. This is regarding clothes. Um, Depending where you're gonna travel, it might actually be cheaper to buy clothes in that country, because if you're gonna take a lot of stuff, you'll have less stuff to put other stuff in the luggage. So if you have too many t-shirts, like jumpers, shoes, or whatnot, it's gonna take too much stuff, and you won't be able to put any other stuff that could be useful for you. So I see two scenarios here, like how I would do it for my next tour. There's these bags, airbags, that suck the air in. So if you put a t-shirt in the bag, they suck the air in, or suck it out. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but the cushion then becomes very thin, and basically there's no air in the bag, and the bag is much smaller. So imagine you have a lot of t-shirts in there, jumpers, whatnot. So it's gonna take up less space, and you can put that in your bike luggage. Or if the country you're traveling to is cheap and you've done a research, you could buy the clothes over there. So you could only take minimum clothes. What's happening? Sorry, one second. So yeah, so you could take minimum clothes from your country and buy the clothes there, if you know you're gonna save money. For example, in Norway, stuff is really expensive, so there's no way I'd be buying clothes over there. But yeah, it really depends where you travel. Number 18. Well, I guess, do I have any more tips? Number 18. I'm trying to think if I have any more tips. Oh yes, research how in the country the system works regarding ferries, if the country does have ferries. So I was lucky, actually, and turns out Norway at the time, for some reason, could not connect to the UK system, and any ferries that went on, they couldn't scan my number plate properly, so the tickets were never sent to me. So I took the ferries free of charge. So it's worth to do research how it works in some countries, because I believe I read in Scotland, actually, you have to book the ferry in advance. So it's always good to prep in advance. You don't want to be stuck, without the ferry, if you need to take the ferry, and you don't want to change the route. So research stuff like ferries. If you need to take like trains, you can take your bike on some trains, like how you pay for the kind of stuff. So yeah, tip number, I believe, 19, getting a little bit sleepy, would be, if you're taking a drone. When I'm gonna travel next, I'm gonna take a drone. I have a DJI drone. Research the laws of the country about flying the drone in the country, because you don't want to get a fine, and like lose out on your whole experience of the trip. So research the laws, like what are the rules and criteria, what papers, what license, whatever you need to have to fly a drone, because everyone that has a drone, they love flying drones, and the footage is absolutely amazing. So it's worth to do that as well. Number 19, research speeding fines, speeding tickets, because if you research in advance, I guess you'll be much more calm throughout the trip. What happens if I get a speeding ticket? Because you never know what can happen. We're only human, we make mistakes. So if you research in advance, like, what are the prices of speeding tickets and blah blah blah, you'll keep you calm. Just an example from watching the 44th Teeth channel. The guys, one of the guys, what's his name? Chris. He got a massive fine in Switzerland, I believe, going over 1 or 2 kilometers over the speed limit. And I don't remember what the fine was. It was maybe 3,000, maybe 4,000 pounds. And apparently, if he would have went 1 kilometer over speed limit, he would have been in prison. So yeah, research that as well. For example, in Norway, they can take your license away even if you speed over 1 kilometer. It's that strict. And in Finland, they fine you according to your salary. I don't know how it works if you're a foreigner driving the country, but they apparently they fine you according to your salary. So that's that. All right. Any more tips? Any more tips? Tip number 20. Bring a pair of sunglasses, shades, because in the summer, the sun is out. It's so nice and lovely out and about. And I wish I would have done that, because a lot of the time the sun was in my eyes, and I couldn't take like some of the footage that I wanted to take. It made some things more difficult. So yeah, take a few pairs of sunglasses as well. Another tip 21. If you're the kind of person that likes camping, take a tent with you. Countries like Norway, Scandinavian countries, they have a very good system where there's a campsite, a cabin, I don't know, maybe every 10 kilometers, even less. There's so many of them. There's loads. And you're always going to spend less money than booking Airbnb or hotel, because they have, like I said, special camping places, camping sites, and special cabins for people that want to camp, or like I did, just cabins for people that want to rent out a cabin, if that makes sense. Anything else? Oh yeah, how did I forget? Tip number 2: research petrol costs. You know what's happening in the world. The world is going crazy, so it's very, very important to understand how much you're gonna spend on petrol. Also, also, as we're talking about petrol, you can buy discount and point cards. I realized this as I was maybe halfway through my trip in Norway. Yeah, maybe halfway through my trip in Norway. So there's a lot of Shell stations in Norway, and I got this card, but I never registered. So if you buy like a discount card, and if you're traveling for weeks and days, you're gonna collect the points, and then eventually you'll be able to use the points for discounts on fueling. Smart, right? So I will do that next time for sure. Okay, any more tips for you guys? Any more tips? Yes, tip, I believe 22. If you're gonna record stuff like on the GoPro, on Insta360, whatever, take many SD cards and take many batteries, because if you'll want to, make videos like I'm doing of the tour, then if you have many SD cards as big as possible, you'll be able to upload everything neatly, separated by day. And if you have a lot of batteries, you're not going to run out into problems where you can't film something amazing that just happened, if that makes sense. Also, I guess included in that, take a power bank, maybe even 2, or take like an expensive power bank. Don't be afraid to spend money, because some power banks, they have thousands of, I don't know what's the term, amps, I believe, amps, or I don't know what was the term, but I know a phone has 2 or 3,000 of that unit roughly, and some of these power banks have like 30,000-40,000. They're quite heavy, but basically what that means, you can charge your phone more than 10 times. So yeah, take something like that as well. I'm a little bit embarrassed. I don't know what they're called. I have a power bank. One sec. Okay, I'm back. So those units are called MAH. I don't know what it stands for, but MAH. There you go. I believe that's it, guys, in terms of the tips. Can't really think of anything else at the time. So yeah, I've always wanted to do this video. You know, I rode. It's gonna be 3 years this summer since I rode to Norway, but I'm not gonna give up. I had a break from YouTube for a year and a half. I thought, I found it too difficult. I found it too stressful. But now I'm in the right mindset. I'm building my channel. I want to grow my channel as much as possible, as soon as possible, and I want to become a full-time YouTuber. I want to do traveling videos, bike reviews, gear reviews, custom build reviews. I want to give away bikes. I want to start other channels. I want to do competitions. Talking about competitions, I'm planning to do a very fun competition on May the 1st. So every May the 1st, there's a massive motorcycle celebration show in Hastings where thousands of bikers go from all over the country, all over the UK. So I'm planning to do a interactive competition there with free prizes. If you've seen my channel, I've given away several Lego kits now, motorcycle kits. I believe 11 of the Gigatti ones and one of the BMW S1000RR Lego. But this competition will be different. The prize, there'll be free prizes. They'll all be, worth a lot of money, and I believe very useful to bikers. So yeah, keep an eye out for that video. And I would just, I guess, to end the video, I'd like to thank everyone that supported me so far. I've been focusing on YouTube for a few months now, and I hope by the end of this year I'll be monetized, and then I can do YouTube full time. So yeah, I am learning as I go. I'm getting used to the camera, speaking to the mic. My job is in marketing, and I love my job. I've made really good contacts in my job. I've learned so much in my job. So I will take the skills from my job to YouTube, and yeah, I hope to become a full YouTuber by the end of the year, and create awesome content worldwide. I think I'd like to thank people that have inspired me to be a YouTuber, and those people are my family, my little brother, my girlfriend, then people on internet, on YouTube, people like Bruce from Teapot One, Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman, of course, with their awesome trips around the world. The Michelin flyer, I learned quite a few things from him. I got quite a bit of motivation from him, and yeah, I don't know. I've always wanted to travel. Always wanted to do something creative, and traveling creative comes together, on YouTube. So yeah, that's that. If you're interested in the hoodie that I'm wearing, it's a Honda hoodie, as you can see, Marquez, then I can send you a link, an affiliate link from Amazon. So if you would buy it from that link, I'd get a little commission. I also have a Marquez helmet. I can send you the link to that as well, which I wore when I rode to Norway. Okay, that's it, guys. Thanks to anyone that's gonna watch this video. It's quite late. It's half 11, and I'm gonna get some sleep. And yeah, I just felt creative tonight. I wanted to get this information out. I might redo this video down the line. I don't know. I don't know what will come into my mind, into my head, and I need to find out why the camera is doing that. So yes, guys, don't be scared. Travel, see the world. We only live once, and with all this stupid stuff going on in the world, don't be scared. Travel, go out on the bike. Even for a day or 2 days. Go to places where you wanted to go. I'm talking about Norway. Now it's much easier to go from Norway to the UK because there's a ferry from Holland to Norway. They actually, 15 years ago, maybe 13 years ago, there used to be a ferry from Stavanger or Bergen. Was Stavanger Bergen? Actually, Bergen. From, I might be wrong, Stavanger Bergen. They're not too far from each other in southern Norway. to Newcastle in Scotland. A lot of Norwegian bikers told me that when I was in Norway, like how I got there and blah blah blah. And I said to them, I need to take a complete different route. So yeah, all the best to everyone. I hope you do lots of riding this year and ride safe and just enjoy life.